Guillermo Del Toro's Pinocchio, I'm never gonna get that name right, is a new Netflix film that just came out last month and is a retelling of the story of Pinocchio and is of 2022's multiple Pinocchio adaptations. 2022 was the year of Pinocchio. It's going to be remembered like that forever. And this time around, it tells a much more darker side of the story, in which it follows the same beats that we know of Pinocchio, but apart from the other adaptations that we seen last year, this is a bit different. And that is that this film is a lot more complex and a lot more emotional and a lot more darker than any of the other Pinocchio adaptations, delving into Pinocchio's psyche and into multiple characters like Geppetto's characters much more deeper than in the other movies. And exploring the darker sides to the story that we did not really see that often last year with the other Pinocchio movies. I mean, the straight-to-DVD one, which was horrible in all the best ways. We had that terrible remake of the classic Disney film, which was also a bit dark for itself, for a Disney movie, and I like that about the movie. But this adaptation here is possibly the darkest. But also the most rich version of the film that I have seen so far. I really enjoyed the classic Disney movie. The other two, I already have my opinions on my channel. This is my favorite adaptation of the story. Now, to delve into the movie, let's talk about the animation. Because apart from a few bits of CGI here and there, obviously to help enhance the effects, this is all mostly practical and stop motion animation. And you know how much of a sucker I am for that art form of animation. I know it's time consuming, but man, when it's done well, it is beautiful to look at. And this is quite possibly the best looking stop motion I have seen since Kubo and the Two Strings. The fluid movements, the way the backgrounds are animated, and how everything moves smoothly, and just the design of the stop motion effects themselves, it just felt so organic. And the visual storytelling with these stop motion effects help in a way make this story feel a lot more darker than what it could have been with CGI or live action. With stop motion, there's something about the way this movie looks and feels that just felt really dark. And I think the stop motion effect isn't just for like artistic only effect. It's just to make the story feel a lot more darker. And it starts off, I know I'm not going to spoil unless you haven't seen it, but it starts off in a different way than in many of the other Pinocchio adaptations that you've probably seen before. But it explores a lot of Geppetto's character too, and Jiminy Cricket's as well. These two characters are definitely more prevalent and have a lot more character development here than in any of the other adaptations that I've seen so far. But really the star of this movie is definitely Pinocchio himself. And how his character develops throughout the rest of the film. He starts off pretty bratty, but genuine. He's really a fish out of water in this movie. And that's what he needs to be for the story. But the context in this movie as compared to the other films and how that connects to Pinocchio's character himself and what he needs to learn in order to develop as a character throughout the movie, I found really compelling and engaging. The movie also explores a lot of themes of death and really how precious life is, how much you should cherish it. because you never know when someone is really going to pass. And that's what I've always took away from all the movies, even some of the bad movies, is just the themes of death, mortality, and just how much you should cherish the time you have with your loved ones before you eventually pass. But here, this movie really delves into that the most, and I think it explored it beautifully, while also having the theme of Pinocchio wanting to be a real boy. Not really just a real boy physically, but really the real son for Geppetto. And that creates a lot of tension between the two characters. Really, there isn't much that I have complained about the story. Also, the directing by Guillermo Del Toro is brilliant as always. The way the shots are composed, the way the characters interact, also the amount of villains it have. It never felt bogged down by its villains. The story still flowed naturally, and each of these characters did serve a purpose to the story to help develop Pinocchio himself. And they were all really engaging, really terrifying to watch. Honestly, the circus guy is really, he's my favorite villain. The way he acts and mannerisms, how cold he is just unsettling, and I loved it. Overall, Pinocchio is really well animated, really well written, directed. The music is absolutely beautiful, and the characters themselves, they're just great to watch, and it's honestly rewarding to see them discover and develop new things about themselves and how they want to live their lives. This is just a beautiful adaptation of the story. My favorite so far, what I've seen, and I'm going to give Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio an A-. The only thing is just that I probably didn't love it as much as I hoped I would. There were the few times where the movie did drag kind of a bit, but for the most part, I really did love this movie, and I would highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.